Hello, Steve from Vintage Roots, the organic wine people. I've got Clyde Sowman from Walnut Block Vineyard here with us today.
Right.
He's been doing a European tour in Sweden, Finland, and we have the pleasure of his attendance here today. Now, Walnut Block Vineyard comes from Marlborough, New Zealand, which is obviously famous for Sauvignon Blanc. But here we've got the first release of his organic Pinot Noir called the Collectables. And Clyde will run you through the wine and talk a little bit about how it's made.
Yeah, sure.
And the style.
Absolutely. The Marlborough as a province, as you probably know, has been made famous because of Sauvignon Blanc. Pinot Noir is the next biggest planted grape variety and the next emerging. Well, it's emerged already, but it's the next most exciting variety in Marlborough. And I think where we position, we're somewhere in between the California style, which is big and juicy, and the Burgundy style, which is complex and possibly more earthy. So Marlborough kind of sits somewhere in between there. With our wines, we've got the vineyards planted with top Burgundy clones, all closely planted together. It's hand-picked. It's also wild fermented. Wild fermented's a pretty fun way of making wines. You know, it's not so predictable. As long as you do the work in the vineyard, a wild ferment can work really well. Maybe I can explain.
It's more risky, isn't it? I mean, certainly.
It's definitely more risky.
Sometimes you might get problems with it completing fermentation, and it might be a little bit more tricky. And,
for sure, there are good yeasts in the vineyard, and there are bad yeasts in the vineyard. But as long as you do your work and you pick really healthy fruit, then generally you're pretty good. So once the fruit comes into the winery, it gets put into an open top fermenter, and there are yeasts on the skin of the grapes, which, if you give a chance, will start fermenting by themselves. And the beauty about a wild ferment is that one yeast will take it up to, say, 5% alcohol, die off, and another one will take over. So each yeast has got a little wee character of its own. So generally you get a more complex, subtly complex Pinot Noir. And this one is, I guess, your typical Marlborough Pinot Noir would be that it's quite fruit driven, but we like to bring a lot of the savouriness into the wine. So we soak it after ferment, which brings this nice savoury fruit balance to the wines.
And as far as like the oak that you're using, we'll taste the wine now as well while we're talking. But the barrel or the type of oak you're using. So
it gets pressed off into barrel, and it's in barrel for 9 months, which is just enough, a good amount of time to soften the wine out and give it a nice gentle oak. So not over the top, but good structure, good tannin, good fruit.
Yeah. Good. Well, let's taste the wine.
Very good. Cheers.
Cheers.